a lot of artists have different feelings about sort of how they want their pieces used. And Hector's take is really fascinating, especially with kind of what we're going to talk about through the session today. But this artistic proposal he has, it's all about the intervention by the audience. And they actually drive what makes the artwork dynamic and interesting. It's like without the audience intervention and without their action, it's not as interesting and not as exciting.
Welcome to Chainlink Live. I'm Andy Boyan, your host from Chainlink Labs, and I'm here with Strata, Gallery, Jasper, and Barak. How you guys doing, man?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Andy.
Man, it's awesome to have you. It's been super fun, like reading about your project and what you guys are doing. You had a launch last week, and I've been working with the Chainlink Labs team on helping promote that a little bit, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So I'm super excited to have you guys here. Why don't we get started with what is Strata Gallery? So tell us a little bit about Strata first, and then we'll get into the project as well.
Yeah, wonderful. So Strata Gallery, we're a gallery that we've just started recently. As you said, we launched our first project, went live last week. But we're a group of people, and we're trying to think about, really, we have two major goals. The first is trying to connect and bridge together physical and digital art, but to use them to elevate each other. And then the second one is kind of reconsidering possibilities and interactions between the artist and the audience. So we're utilizing kind of blockchain technology to break down that barrier between artist, the audience, and even art itself, and to reconsider what's possible and try to innovate and create these new artistic kind of interactive experiences.
And I would add to that maybe that I think the way we see our role in the space that is between crypto art and physical art or the traditional art market is not necessarily another platform or even a gallery in the traditional sense, but something between a gallery and a collaborator or a producer that is working with artists to try and understand how to, or come up with new ways to leverage digital platforms to extend their practice. So not only to create a digital replica or derivative of their existing practice, physical, digital work, whatever they may be working in, but thinking about how blockchain technology, web technology, the digital platform as a whole can elevate their practice, allow them to explore existing themes and ideas in a new way, and also connect, as Jasper was saying, connect with audiences in a new way, which is really key to Whole Picture, our first project.
Well, it occurs to me a big role of a curator and a gallery is not just choosing what goes on display, but working with the artist to figure out how is that displayed, how is it meant to be experienced, whether that's like a specific vision or a way to enable the audience. So you guys feel like that, almost a curator in a sense, enabling people to get digital versions of their art out, or purely digital, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add on to that too, like Barak and I, we both have quite interesting backgrounds, and we're both interactive digital artists ourselves. And so we work kind of right in between the space of art and technology. And we have this interesting perspective where, for example, this current project we'll talk about more later, Whole Picture, we can see some of the possibilities for projects that can exist in a more technical space. And we can bridge together some of these digital elements and then work with the artist to kind of show them what's possible in this new space. And that's been really exciting for us as well. So we act a bit like curators, but then also it's really hands-on, and we jump in and we dive in with the artist on how can we actually extend or continue or evolve this piece into this new medium in new and exciting ways that maybe the artist wasn't thinking about, or these new opportunities that we've identified that really can take an artwork into this new space and add kind of additional meaning and possibilities. So it's very exciting.
It's not just how do I get my JPEG into an NFT. There's an audience experience as well. So
exactly,
we've hinted at it a couple of times, and we're let's get our mugs off of here and take a look at your project, because you guys, this art is totally incredible. Here, let me get it up here. This is the website. Tell us about Whole Picture, the project. This is the initial project, and just like what's going on here. Give us the pitch and the rundown.
Perfect. So yes, this is Whole Picture. Anyone who's interested in following along, they can visit this at strata.gallery. And really, this is our first project that we've been working on for kind of over 6 months now. And the project itself, it's an NFT project. So anyone that participates can purchase an NFT, and eventually you'll basically create and own an artwork that looks kind of like this panel you see on the right here. So it's these canvases that have been painted and designed by this amazing artist, Hector Falcón, who we'll go into more information about him in a bit. But we've been working with him, and he's created these physical paintings. And the property and the idea behind it is that all of the canvases, he's carved holes from the canvases to reveal layers underneath. And he's actually designed this as like a module-based system. So each canvas is like a different module that you can piece together in different ways. And then you can, depending on how you stack them and how you arrange them, it creates a dynamic artwork. And even the physical version, if I just scroll down a little bit here, like this is what kind of the physical versions look like. So you can see that even in a physical state, they actually invite the audience to come and participate and rearrange and to create new configurations with these different modules. So our project whole picture is inviting the audience to also come in and not only move around the canvases, but they actually, anyone that participates and purchases one of these whole picture artworks, you'll actually co-create which canvases consist in your artwork as well. So it consists of an art event, which we can go into more details later. So there's an art event where your canvases are revealed one by one, and you can make choices on which ones that you want to keep for your artwork and which ones you want to maybe chance it and see what is going to come the next day. And then afterwards, it's about how you actually enjoy the artwork. So we have this whole art viewer that we're building where you can arrange the canvases yourself. You can change the layering structure, and you can take your 4 canvases and arrange it in a configuration you like and display it kind of on a screen if you have that in your home, or even kind of carry it around with you in your pocket and view it on your phone. Or you can also animate them. So bringing it into the digital space, you have these new possibilities where here's an example, kind of quick animation of what it could look like, but you can have these sort of animating and moving around on your screen in the digital format, which is really exciting as well. So that's the whole picture in a nutshell. Yeah, Barak,
one thing that was really exciting specifically about working with Hector and what made it such a perfect first collaboration is that, as Jasper was saying, through his work and through his practice, he discovered this idea of cutting holes in canvases and sort of created this new system that is part painterly and part sculptural and allows them to create something that's more three-dimensional. But really, as you can see in this video on the website and how the physical work is displayed, it's an open system. It's an ongoing conversation between Hector and the viewers that can layer the canvases in different ways, position them in different ways. And the work on this project and the work with Hector was, how do we extend that into the digital realm, and how do we leverage the benefits and the specific affordances of blockchain technology to create to turn this into an event. And Jasper was mentioning the layers that you own within your artwork, within your NFT, are revealed over time. As we say, a combination of choice and chance, and it becomes this sort of experience of co-creation over several days and weeks that is not just sort of a randomized collection that you get when you buy, but something that you really have input and say in consideration in which layers you like, which layers you don't like, which ones do you want to keep, and which ones do you want to see where chance will take you. And that was sort of the aspect of the project that was more focused on finding a new way for Hector to connect at a distance with his audience around the world. And the other aspect of the project, as we said, for us, it's very important that the connection between the physical aspect and the digital aspect of a project is enriching and sort of bi-directional. The physical enriches the digital and vice versa. So in this case, the project itself, as Jasper was saying, and Andy, as you were saying, it's not just a fixed animation or a fixed image. It's the whole interactive viewer that allows you to enjoy your artwork and continue to sort of evolve it. But more than that, there are also physical elements that tie into your your digital layers. In the case of this project, maybe we can actually check out the cutouts page.
Yeah.
We've worked with Hector, who collected and curated the cutouts from the canvases themselves, from the canvases that are part of the digital project. And for participants who end up with a layer that is one of the layers for which we have collected cutouts, you will have the chance of getting a physical part of the piece, those cutouts that are signed by Hector himself. So the project, the ownership or the artwork or the participation in the whole picture experience is not only digital, it's not only physical, it's a mix of both, including other sort of digital parts of the project that we'll announce later in the future, but we're really excited about. So we're really keen to find new ways to sort of bring the physical and the digital, the artist's previous work or physical element, to enrich the new digital ones. And with this being our first attempt at this, we're enjoying exploring all sorts of different directions to get that done.
Well, yeah. We've got questions from the audience about NFTs and the technology, but I'm going to cut in front of them because my former liberal arts professor calling is saying, you mentioned something, Barak, about the affordances of the blockchain and like helping artists understand. So for people who don't really understand what affordances are, technology affordances, it's stuff you can do with technology that you might not always think of. So, converting a JPEG to an NFT, we can do that and you can look at it. But there's more you can do. There's rarity that we can do now. That's where Chainlink comes in, right?
Yeah.
There's distribution. And, if you look at something like a gacha pack, that is pretty clear. Like you can do rarity and you can do luck and sort of probability. But with art, you can push those limits and actually make that part of the artistic statement. So I'm just, that's what impresses me so much about this is it's taking some of those blockchain affordances that have not been utilized in an artistic sense and really bringing them to people to experience rather than just to know about or read about. And that's just fantastic.
Exactly. And the way we see it, actually, in the way we're presenting it to artists that we're working with now and artists that we are talking to about future works as well, is blockchain technology. It's actually a new medium for artistic creation. And that's what some people don't understand. They say, well, why would we ever want to create something related to blockchain? We don't quite understand it. And for us, it's a entirely new medium that has all of this new potential. And the most exciting potential is really, as I was mentioning earlier, it's breaking down this barrier between the artist and the audience. So for Whole Picture, it's actually a direct collaboration where the participant, like an owner of a piece, has the power to basically help build up their artwork and create layers. Like Hector, as Andy, as you mentioned at the beginning, he says, look, it's up to the audience. Like they're the ones that are creating this at the end of the day. And they really are, because you're choosing on which canvases you want to be part of your final artwork that you're co-collaborating with. And this isn't really possible at any scale through any other means other than the blockchain. The blockchain just gives you that guarantee of trustworthiness, and that in fact the artwork is going to be genuine at the end of the day. So it's really exciting that you can break down that barrier and you can add in new types of interaction that aren't possible any other way. You can capture experiences and actually give people ownership of those experiences too. So for Whole Picture, we've combined kind of a lot of ideas. We thought of, okay, you do own an NFT at the end of the day, but you're also participating in an interactive experience, which you couldn't participate in through any other medium. So really, really exciting, and just tons of potential that we feel like there's a lot of new exploration to take place.
So
there's something that you said, Andy, that was really interesting, and sort of your comment on affordance. That's really, again, where we see ourselves as Strata, as when we begin a process of collaborating with an artist, as you said, clearly you can use the blockchain and blockchain technology to mint an NFT and have and be able to sell it or tokenize an image or a video. But where we see ourselves is really thinking about what are the possibilities through blockchain itself, through working with partners like Chainlink. What other elements of experience, of creation, of creativity can we bring into the project? And specifically with Hector, it was really interesting First, because the physical system of that he constructed of these layered canvases itself is open to intervention and interaction and experience that is that brings the audience into the creation process. And as he was thinking about how that fits into the space of NFTs and digital art, he was not intimidated by it. There's actually, we have a quote from him. It's also on our Instagram, how he sees this as something that is open, and he's excited to see how the public will engage and change and create and bring themselves into the work.
You know, at Chainlink Labs, one of the things that excites the people who work on Chainlink all the time is if we can help make a protocol that lets people do new stuff. We make something so it has VRF. We make things so the price feeds are stable. Then people who are entrepreneurs and designers and builders, they will figure out what to do with that. So if you get a price feed, you can get a good price. You can also make a synthetic. You can also make derivatives. You can also make insurance. You can also make bam, bam, bam. So those affordances, like we've seen that a lot in the financial DeFi space. And so seeing those in the NFT space, I see it as a parallel track. Really. Hey, we've got a really good question from the audience that speaks to you guys talking about the physical assets and NFTs and kind of where this sits. So Delirious asks, how will you link NFTs with physical assets like paintings or antiques? Will this be feasible? What do you guys think? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I think Barak kind of mentioned this before, but there's a lot of really fascinating and interesting ways you can actually link the two together. And so for whole picture, at the surface level, there's a link because most of the digital layers are actually based on these physical modules that Hector's created. But more than that, kind of for this project, the way that we're directly connecting them again is through the cutouts. So these actual holes that Hector has carved away. And so what will happen is that if you have at the end of the art event, if you have a canvas that matches one of the canvases where we have the actual physical holes for, like you'll be entered into we'll randomly select someone from that pool and you'll receive the physical cutout. So what's really great here is that they complement each other perfectly. You have the digital version that has the canvases kind of with the holes, and then you can have a physical hole. So they both have this amazing bond, but they're completely complementary. So that's a really exciting way you can kind of connect kind of physical and digital. And just in general, a great way to connect is thinking about how does the digital context extend the possibilities of a physical piece. And so for whole picture, like even as you can see that with the screen share that's happening right now, you can animate them in a different way that you could never do physically. You can maybe change different properties of potentially like physically based artwork, but in a digital context, you have these new possibilities, things like different types of animations or different types of movement. So there are a ton of different ways that you can play around with how the digital and the physical can complement and elevate each other. And this is just the start for us. So we have tons of new ideas and projects we're working on now with different artists where we're going to explore these more because it's an ongoing question, but it's a really fascinating question. So thanks so much for the question.
Yeah, thank you, Delirious. And I think another sort of an interesting point for the future on what Jasper was saying, in the case of this project, on whole picture, the progression was from the physical to the digital, of course, because we're working with physical canvases, but I can say that on future projects that we are now developing, the direction could be reversed. We can start with something that is digital and think, how do we create physical representations, manifestations, actual pieces that can be created and collected and exhibited, but starting from the digital source. On a side to this, I just wanted to share that I think still the most amazing thing to me about whole picture, and you can see this on our website, is the fact that Hector cuts these holes by hand with an X-Acto knife, and I've never seen anyone able to cut such a perfect circle.
This was one of my questions that I was actually going to ask. How does he get the circles? Can you go back to the cutouts page again and show people? Because There's some videos on this site that I want to encourage the audience, not now, but later, go watch the videos on the Strata Gallery site. They're incredibly well done videos, and it's Hector talking about his process, what kind of he's thinking about and goes through, and he just cuts these by hand, and they're like perfect circles. They're amazing.
I think there is a video here. Let me see. I think it might be here where you can kind of see once this loads. You can see him cutting holes, on this. Let me zoom in on this one. But you can see him. He's just cutting the holes, manually by hand.
It's really
incredible. Yeah, they are perfect circles.
Fine art and good art, really quality, is this fascinating mix of inspiration and skill, like this honed skill over years and years, and it's just amazing to see masters at their craft like that. So that's cool. I have a question, kind of a follow-up. You said there's more projects coming in the future. Andrew, I'm going to use your short question here, almost like an on-ramp for artists. Is that the vision for Strata? It's not just only an on-ramp, but there's a little more after that. But is that a way to kind of think about what Strata is trying to accomplish?
I think it definitely is. And the place where we see ourselves is providing value to artists, to more, I want to say traditional, but artists who work in more physical mediums, painters and sculptors who are in more traditional fields and not necessarily versed in either digital arts or the crypto art space. There are a lot of hurdles, both technical, conceptual, and just challenges in how to perceive the NFT space, the space of crypto art and digital art, and finding your space, your place in it. If you come from fine art, from painting, from sculpture, from other fields, and from talking to artists who are interested in minting NFTs and getting involved in crypto art, a lot of the times the challenge that comes up, or the fear, or the sort of doubt that comes up, is how to find yourself in this space and how to represent your practice thoughtfully, because there is so much movement, there is so much energy, there are so many changes in this space. It's by far perhaps the most dynamic art arena in the world right now. And for an artist with established reputation, with a particular way of doing things, with a track record of exhibitions and maybe gallery representation, in trying to understand how that fits into their practice, this whole new space, both in terms of aesthetic, a new language, a new market of buyers, it could be intimidating. And maybe not more often than not, but frequently, it just ends in some sort of inaction or a decision to stay away from the space. And what we are trying to do is communicate the potential and the opportunity, which is incredible in the blockchain space and crypto art and NFT space, through considering this, as Jasper was saying, when we first started talking, seeing this as a creative platform, as a space for innovation and not just a marketplace, and working with artists really one at a time to understand their practice, understand their work, understand what it is that they're trying to say and where they're coming from, and how we can not just create a derivative, but create something new together that they can wholeheartedly stand behind, that they see as their work, that is pushing their practice forward in these new and interesting ways.
So I got another question from Delirious, kind of on that note. Do you consider, and this can be personal or maybe for Hector, I don't know if you can speak for him, but is there a sense that NFTs represent an artwork one-to-one, like you have a digital stamp for ownership of an asset? Or it seems like this is a little something else. It's not quite like a one-to-one thing. Can you guys talk and think, how do you think about that? And I'm going to take your question off the screen just so we can see Jasper, but I really appreciate the question.
I'll just pop up here. No, it's another great question. And I would also say it really depends on the project. So for whole picture in particular, as Andy, as you were saying, it's not exactly one-to-one, because there's a certain pool of artworks, but some of the canvases can appear in multiple artworks. And Andy, what you were mentioning before, there is this dynamic of rarity in our project as well. So some canvases appear more than others. Some canvases only appear once among all the artworks. So it's a new dynamic that isn't a direct one-to-one between the digital and physical. But other projects, probably it makes more sense to do more direct one-to-one. But really, as Barak was saying, we're thinking about the artist's kind of statement of intent with this body of work that they've kind of spent who knows how long kind of creating, refining, envisioning. And then we want to think about how to preserve the integrity of the work and extend it kind of in this space. And sometimes it will be one-to-one, and sometimes it will be one-to-many or many-to-one. There's a lot of different models you can try and test out, but it will really depend on the project, which is fascinating and really exciting, because you'll work with the artist and you'll work to refine your own concept so that you make sure that it represents the work as well as you can. But another great question. Thanks, Delirious.
I've got a couple more questions for you, and we'll start to wrap this up. What a fantastic audience, set of questions. You guys really appreciate this coming and attending and learning about this stuff. So Jasper, Barak, feel free to jump in as well. But Jasper, I've noticed now that I know your work from like previous hackathons, there is a theme about ownership and like co-ownership and participatory. Like with Whiskey Market Maker, it's about, you know, making the investment so that a small batch whiskey maker can create their craft and then deliver it. And so there's some co-ownership and investment there. Good Token, was that what it was called? Good Coin?
Yeah, Good Tokens.
Which is, if you guys are just joining us, a hackathon project that these two worked on together previously. It is very similar. It's about seeing co-owning a vision that an artist might have. What is it about ownership and the crypto economy that's just so fascinating?
It's really exciting because a lot of times, kind of when thinking about ownership, like for instance, just traditional art in general, when you own something in traditional art, like you buy a painting and then you own it forever, you hang it on your wall, it's yours, and then that's like the end of story. But what's really exciting and what kind of fascinates me about the whole blockchain ecosystem, beyond just art, beyond just like finance, like all aspects combined, is that you have this new possibility for kind of utility out of ownership. And a lot of that utility can come from, for instance, being able to participate or interact in an experience. So what we're exploring with Whole Picture is you do own an actual artwork, an NFT, but what that becomes is determined and dictated by you. And also similar to Good Tokens as well, you own something, but you don't just own the artwork itself, but you own a responsibility to support a cause that the artist cares about. And even for the whiskey project, it's like you're collaborating and you're supporting and you're owning kind of a piece of a small batch distillery, where it's not just about the bottle that you have at the end of the day, but it's about taking part in the process and then the utility that comes on top of that. So for instance, if you would own some of it, the vision was you'd be able to get like tastes of the barrel and kind of have a more intimate connection with this distillery itself. So what's exciting is that it kind of hits what blockchain technology allows is not only it's a more intimate connection where you can put and you can combine kind of ownership and utility, but you can also do it and reach a larger audience. So it's really phenomenal. And the possibilities that are, the whole ecosystem is really fascinating too. I mean, for this project, the reason that we're speaking with you, Andy, is we have kind of used Chainlink as well, this other amazing protocol with the VRF to supply us with kind of secure randomness. So the fact that we can combine these different pieces in the larger kind of ecosystem inside of an art project, like we could also combine financial elements. We could take some of the ideas from the DeFi space and integrate with those protocols in future projects. So it's really exciting how you can combine, what does ownership actually mean? How can you tie in utility, and how can you just continue to add more value for your audience and for your community and for your supporters? So that's really exciting to play with.
Composability is a blockchain affordance in art.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a topic for a panel.
I know.
Barak, I want to hear your thoughts on ownership and the crypto economy too.
I think, my introduction to crypto was through Jasper and Jasper's enthusiasm and passion for creating these sort of new models and why ownership matters. So there are 2 points that I think are interesting to me, one from the crypto side and one from the art side. Specifically, sort of on a reflection on the NFT space and how this relates to digital art, is the way that NFTs and the crypto art market that is booming around the technological infrastructure, there's this newfound interest and willingness to collect and buy and support artists it's amazing to see, and we are happy to be a part of. It addresses a challenge, and Jasper and I are both digital artists in our own practice. It addresses the challenge that has been around since the beginning of digital art and computer art, of how digital artists sell work, support themselves. In the end, in the art world, what enables artistic practice and artistic expression in different stages in history is a patron of the arts, whether it's an organization or a rich lord or whoever that may be, that supports artists in pursuing their passions and creating their work. And in digital art, there has always been this challenge of what is the artwork? What does ownership mean? And I think the booming NFT market really addresses this in a way that makes digital art sustainable. It allows artists to maintain their practice and support themselves financially. And ownership in that sense is key, because it was the missing link between the digital representation of the artwork and the connection to an owner or a buyer, or something that allows an audience to support the artists that they are passionate about supporting. More on the blockchain side and on the smart contract side, one thing that Jasper and I realized while working on Good Tokens is that the unique element of smart contracts and of tokens within smart contracts, like the ERC-721, that is the base for our hackathon project and many popular NFTs, is that as we said it in our submission for the hackathon project, NFTs are unique in that they imbue the artwork itself with logic, with intention, with reason, quote unquote, and it makes the artwork party to the relationship. It's not just the artwork, the artist and the owner, and the artwork itself becomes an asset. It evolves and it changes, and it can respond to rules. As it happens in a whole picture, the artwork reveals itself over time and responds to interactions between all of the different owners. So it's not just me and the one artwork that I bought, it's what all of the other owners are doing that locks and unlocks different canvases. And that is just so interesting. The ability to deploy a system like this and leverage it creatively is really fascinating.
Yeah. I can't help but think of the creative middle class that has kind of had a hard time existing since digital started, right? If you just look at musicians that you hear every day that are popular, that sell out concerts, they make a lot of money. The rest of musicians don't. There's just not a lot of room for a creative middle class. They exist, but it's harder to carve out that living. We're starting to find ways. Well, how do you get a creative middle class in terms of fine art here? Musicians, ton of parallels, and I don't want to get into it. Well, I do want to get into it, which is the problem, because we're running out of time. Gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Fascinating talking to you. And like I said, I could go on for hours. So let's do another one of these. Maybe we'll get a Hector in one at a conference sometime, and we'll make sure we get together, because this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you, Andy, so much for having us. We could talk about this all day too. So good to have a time limit. But really, thanks so much for having us on. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hope everybody has a chance to check out the project, because there's a lot more interesting details. You can dive as deep as you want. There's a lot there.
I've got links down below. There will be the Telegram for Strata, which is active. That's kind of their home, so feel free to join. I'm in there hanging out too. There's a Twitter. There's this webpage, of course, and all their videos. So please join communities. That's how to kind of get started on these and learn the ropes. Join the Chainlink community. Join our Discord. That's how you find hackathon buddies like these two, who now turn into this amazing project, changing the art world. And so that's the way to do it. And we'll have links to all that stuff down below in the YouTube video. Everybody, my name's Andy Boyne from Chainlink Labs, and thank you for coming to this Chainlink Live. Like and subscribe, please. We do these a couple a week. I've got one tomorrow morning Eastern time at 7 a.m. Come to it, please. It'll be up early for me. But but it's Johnny from Linkpool. He's out of Australia, so we did it for him. But we're going to talk about market.link and all sorts of Chainlink things. So please attend those. All right, Barak and Jasper, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Andy, and Chainlink.
Yeah,
absolutely, our pleasure. Again, everybody join communities. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you again on another Chainlink Live.